Before the 14th Amendment, before Reconstruction, before the Civil War. Imagine a group of people labeled outlaws assembling behind closed doors to define the meaning of citizenship in a country that refused to recognize them as citizens. They could be jailed for meeting. They could be attacked for speaking. They could be killed for voting. And yet, beginning in 1830, they gathered anyway. These were the delegates of the Black Convention movement, radical thinkers, organizers, and strategists who demanded rights they were told could not exist. In September of 1830, 40 black delegates from 9 states met at Mother Bethel AME Church in Philadelphia. It was the first national black political convention in United States history. They held closed sessions modeled after the original Constitutional Convention because black political organizing invited retaliation, mob violence, and state repression. What they produced was not symbolic. They drafted constitutions. They passed resolutions. They issued petitions. They made legal arguments rooted directly in the Declaration of Independence. Their claim was radical for its time. Citizenship was not granted by whiteness. It was endowed by principle. As one convention declared, the right to vote was the lifeblood of political existence. Decades before the 14th Amendment, these conventions articulated its core ideas: equal protection under the law, birthright citizenship, due process, and political participation as a civil right. These were not abstract ideals. They were legal blueprints designed to be used once the constitutional door finally cracked open. When the Civil War ended and Congress began rewriting the Constitution, lawmakers did not invent these ideas from scratch. They inherited them. Historians now recognize the Black Convention movement as the first sustained civil rights movement in American history, spanning more than 30 states and nearly an entire century. The tools these organizers built are still being used today. When voting rights are challenged, courts invoke equal protection. When citizenship is questioned, birthright principles are cited. When representation is undermined, constitutional remedies are demanded. These defenses trace back to people who had no legal protection themselves. The same questions they faced remain with us now. Who gets full access to democracy? Who decides whose voice counts? What happens when participation is deliberately obstructed? The story we are rarely told is this: the true architects of modern American democracy were not the ones comfortably housed within it. They were the ones forced to design a blueprint for a house that did not yet have room for them. And when the doors finally opened, the foundation was already waiting.